Wolves Nation, we are back here for part 2, baby, of our interview here with Tom Livolsi of Savage Wolves here. If you haven't checked out part 1 yet, make sure to go back and do that first and foremost, and then come right back here. And if you don't want to miss out any Tuffy Talk content, make sure to do us a big favor, hit that subscribe button, notification bell, so you don't miss out whenever we release any new NC State Tuffy Talk content. And also, if you enjoyed this video, if you enjoyed this conversation, hit that like button, give us a follow, Tuffy Talk now on Twitter and Instagram. But to kind of pick up where we left off, Tom, one of the biggest things which I want to definitely discuss about was kind of another positive impact, which I think a lot of college fans have seen over the last couple of weeks, which, I mean, definitely you're seeing the NCAA tournament flip upside down for men's basketball. And I truly do feel that the transfer portal and the NIL is a big factor in that. One statistic to kind of prove that is that in the starting lineups for the Elite Eight teams, 19 of them were transfers. And so basically meaning that over two an average of 2 players for each starting lineup or more were transfers from another school. And now you're seeing that with, now again, we're recording this on a Wednesday, March 29th. As of today, you have the Final Four coming up, which includes San Diego State, Florida Atlantic, Miami, and UConn. And, so obviously not your blue blood schools, not your Kentuckys, not your Dukes, UNCs, your Kansases, they're not in it.
Good. I'm tired of seeing all them in it.
Exactly. Well, and I think that because that's one of the biggest gripes for, people, including myself, who want college football playoff expanded, is because we don't want to see Ohio State, Michigan, and Alabama in it every single year. We want to see some new guys, some young bloods. And so to me, I love it. I love it. Now, the other thing which I want to even mention to it as well is I remember in the Survive in Advance documentary, which, shout out to the home field shirt, Survive in Advance shirt I'm wearing. But, one of the things that's right. One of the things that stood out to me was from that documentary was when they were interviewing some athletes during that time. And they were talking about they were interviewing the center from Virginia, whose name escapes me right now. But basically they were when he was talking about why he was deciding to come back, each year he just kept on thinking and saying, I want to go back to school. And so literally this guy who would have been the number 1 overall pick in whatever NBA draft he decided to go to, decided to come back every single year just because he wanted to continue, his degree. And so, but now you don't really have that. Now, players don't just come back just because they want to, continue with their degree. But now with NIL and with everything on top of it, with the name, image, likeness, and the opportunity to grow, their brand, to me, it's a no-brainer to come back. One of the biggest news that came back is Armando Bacot of UNC announcing he came back. And I'm sitting here going, he'd be a fool to leave, in my opinion. I mean, he's making, a good amount of money, definitely at least 6 figures, if not 7 figures.
Don't even have to perform.
I know, exactly. And he has a car. Hey, DJ Burns is right there along with him. That's all I'm going to say. So I won't sweating at the news of him coming back. But I mean, so I'm sitting here saying, I mean, if you're in this guy's shoes, or if you're in a similar pair of shoes as him, why would you go pro? You literally have a full ride. You have no bills. You got a car's handed to you. You're making money. You're playing at UNC. One of the biggest names in college basketball. Why would you leave? So, to me, that's something what you love to see. That I feel like there's not really as much of a rush to go pro, and because that's your only possible avenue to make money. Yeah. So I think it also too is great for college sports.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see how things shake out on that basketball front. Honestly, I think, and I'm going to use UNC as an example, and it's not a dig because they're UNC, but it doesn't pain me to use them as an example either. When you put all of your NIL dollars in one basket, which is basketball, and you go from being the unanimous preseason number 1 and you don't even make the tournament, which, man, those words just roll off the tongue, don't they? But
smooth. Yeah.
But just from a business perspective, how hard it's going to be to go back and get year 2, year $2, because I'll tell you sustainability is the name of the game in NIL. And that's why, my approach of a yearly membership that opens opportunities to some really cool experiences is the one that I think will be pretty sustainable. It's if we spent all of our dollars on bringing a unanimous number one team and they didn't perform, you go back to that well and people are like, literally you cannot get a better example. So I'm anxious to see kind of how that shakes out, because one thing that I don't like about NIL, I'm a big NIL guy. Obviously, I think that athletes should have been getting compensated a long time. There's a couple things actually. One, I don't understand why the NCAA has such a hard time allowing the schools and institutional money to be a part of it. Coaches and Adidas gives ungodly amounts of money to NC State every year, but the burden of right now, the number one most important and first conversation that happens in revenue sports is NIL. What's your NIL program? Mm-hmm. And that is burden that is once again put on the fan base and put on the donors, right? And I just think that's wrong. I think that this might come across as it is what it is, though. Our athletics and our athletic director, and who I have a very, very good relationship with, and Boo does not a knock at you, but their success really depends on our success now, right? And it's there needs to be some type of give take when it comes to that. You cannot expect the donors and the fans to continue to foot the bill for this NIL initiative, right? The other thing that I am not thrilled about is, and it's on the basketball front, the transfer portal. I believe in it. If a coach can pick up and leave, and he has been in someone's living room and looked someone's mother in the eye and said, "I'm going to watch out for your son," and they suddenly are able to pick up and move. I think the players should be able to do the same thing. I do.
Sure.
But as a fan, and as someone with a vested interest in this, I don't love the idea of, we just had a couple basketball players that we got from the portal are back in the portal, and I don't love the idea. You can't build a culture and you can't build a program by piecemealing things together every year. You have to have some type of tenured foundation that has to exist, right? And basketball, because obviously there's less positions on the team, so less depth, and recruiting in basketball is so different than football. You can recruit 3-4 guys in the same position. In basketball you can't. You better not miss. You better not have a complete dud, or not be able to develop. Or you take somebody from the portal because of their stats, but the windfall or the downfall of that's going to be, some of these coaches have never recruited these guys. They have no idea, what they're like. They're taking, a very, very compacted book of work and book of business, for lack of a better term, and you're adding that to your team. Now, you are, to your point, we're seeing it's successful, right? It's successful. There's teams in the Elite Eight, Final Four, whatever, but I think in a perfect world, there has to be some type of agreement from the players and from the university as far as a tenured and time-based. I don't think it's right that you can go in the portal, go to school, and then jump right back in the portal next year. And I also don't think it's right that coaches can, look in a camera and say, I'm staying here. And then, they get a group of commitments to commit to them, or recruits to commit to them, and then they take off for another school. It's not 100%. There's no perfect solution for it, but I do think there's a lot of areas in NIL that could be better.
Yeah, no, 100%, and especially too, I think that it's a give and take. It's especially for basketball, where basketball now is basically like, there's no reason to even have a conversation about previewing next year. Like, even like with football, you can kind of start talking about, okay, like, these guys are going to come back. This guy's probably going to be the starter, like at this position. I feel really good here. But basketball, I mean, think about it. I mean, we've lost, as of today, again, March 29th, we've lost three to the transfer portal, and we've lost one going pro, which, I mean, Big T going pro, not much of a shocker, but definitely like Jack Clark was not a shocker, but definitely wasn't necessarily expected, and definitely a hit for sure, especially since he just came from LaSalle University, last year, like you were saying. And it just because, again, too, it's hard to grow a culture
there's no continuity.
Yeah, well, just like an opportunity where like a young guy learns from the older guy. Like you don't really have that, because more likely that young guy has been at that school for just as long as that older guy. So there's not like a passing of the torch necessarily that
Right.
you may have in previous years, or more of in football even. But which again, I'm gonna. You said it in the first part. I can't say enough about Coach Doran and the culture he's built, and the fact that like literally the only people that we've had transfer where it almost seemed like it was more of like, all right, we are over capacity, so somebody has to leave. That's almost not to necessarily say that's what happened. Basically, Doran pushed him out the door, but it's it was late in the recruiting in this in that time frame, and then so it's like, did they have that kind of conversation? Be like, hey, listen, we're kind of over capacity. Like you're a third or fourth string. Like maybe it might be better for you to go somewhere else. I'm sure that kind of came up. I'm
sure it has.
In a friendly way for sure.
Yeah. And some of those conversations, if I'm an athlete, and I would appreciate some of those conversations.
Yeah.
If my goal is to actually play and compete, and my coach comes up to me and says that, hey, look, man, you're third, fourth string, whatever it is, you would probably be better off if you really want to compete. As much as I love you and you've been a part of this for a while, and I'm thankful, but you're getting ready to be a crash test dummy in practice, and if that's not what you really want, then so I would appreciate that. I think, but no, I'm really excited. I'll tell you this, man. I've had an opportunity to attend practices and. Typical state. I know what I'm about to say is typical, but I was really excited about last year. I mean, really excited, and I thought last season was. And you know what? On paper, we probably should have been. Turned out a little bit better than we did. But I will say this: that our defense has. And I never thought I'd say, after losing Corey Durden and Drake Thomas and Isaiah Moore and Tanner and Cyrus and but I will say that our defense is legit. Like, I mean, legit. And I talk to Peyton every day, and I mean multiple times a day. And some of the young guys, our transfer portal, we hit an absolute home run in the transfer portal this year. But let me tell y'all that this offense is like nothing we've ever seen at NC State. It is fun to watch. It is fun to watch, man.
Before we continue, I want to take a quick second to tell you about our sponsor, Flightlands Jessup Insurance Group, that has your whole world covered, with agents in 5 offices throughout eastern North Carolina to help you decide how much coverage you need, offering policies for home and auto, recreational vehicles, commercial, crop, health, life, and employee benefits. They are able to combine options to find a comprehensive solution that works for you. Flightlands Jessup protects the things you love so you can spend less time worrying and more time enjoying them. Find them on Facebook and Instagram at Flightlands Jessup. You can also visit their webpage at www.flightlandsjessup.com. So please make sure to go and check them out.
And
I'm upset that I don't do it I don't do this full time, and I'm upset that they have practice closed off to media, because I would give a finger to watch our offense right now. I'm so excited.
I'll tell you what, you sign up to be a member of Savage Wolves, and we can make that happen, buddy.
Hey, there we go. Love that plug. Love that. Tom.
Well, we got some cool stuff, man. So like some of the other things that we're going to be doing, we have what's called Peyton's post game. So after every victory, we're going to have a private Zoom type room like this, to where fans can actually log in and have direct dialogue and interview a couple of the players after a victory, obviously.
Oh, that's so sick.
But yeah, because the reality is this too.
I love that.
There's a lot of NC State fans scattered throughout the country that aren't able to make games all the time. And we're trying to be cognizant of them and try to get them involved in the experience. I just got off the phone with Mike Glennon a little bit before you and I, and we're trying to work on something pretty cool called Glennon and Brennan. Where the two of them kind of sit down and dissect some film together. But we're trying to do some just really cool things that What I want the fans to have is just access, the access that normally we wouldn't be able to have. NIL allows for that.
Absolutely. And to, I really want to spend kind of the last end of this kind of learning more specifically about Savage Wolves. And, one of the things which definitely stands out, like we talked about at the beginning of the first part of this interview, was, really what Pack of Wolves was. But now more of, and again, not to say we've, downgraded like that, but it's just very different now with Pack of Wolves where, even looking at their website, how it's much more kind of just plain to the point, like it used to be, like how it had like all the board members and it had all of the different events and all these different things.
They're revamping it. They've got a new website coming out that's going to be really good. Yeah, they've got some good stuff coming out. Yeah.
Good. Yeah. But now, for your end with the Savage Wolves, so kind of tell me, if because I'm sure you get this question all the time, what's the difference between Savage Wolves and Pack of Wolves? What's the difference? Plainly.
Well, we Savage ain't average. Mm-hmm. That's what I say. So,
hey, I like that.
And if you look, and this is kind of by design. It's we can't take care of everybody, right? So Savage Wolves, we are going to limit our membership, or our athletes are going to be limited per sport to 25, right? So we're never going to have more than 25 football players. We're never going to have, obviously there aren't 25 basketball players, but the idea of the Savage Wolves is my personal goal is to have the time back to what does NIL mean? To me, NIL as a business person means I want someone with marketability, big following, and Savage Wolves exists because we want to have kind of a different tier of athlete and experience that is kind of earned from an NIL standpoint, right? So Peyton Wilson is a household name everywhere. He's also someone that I have engaged with some of our sponsors and things. You can put him in front of a camera, right? So I'd say the big difference with Savage Wolves is, as a member, I can guarantee you that you are going to have a personal experience and not just a one-time personal experience. Like my goal, again, someone asked a really interesting question the other day, and I'm sorry if I go off on a tangent, but this is the best way I can answer. Someone asked me the other day at an NIL conference, what are you guys doing differently? Because NC State is not known as a Texas A&M when it comes to the fiscal resources, right? And absolutely, my answer was, it's our fan base. Our fan base is the most supportive and the most deserving fan base in the country. I've through NIL, I've had an opportunity to see a lot of places and meet a lot of people. And our fan base, when we all come together, you do not want to mess with us. Like we will. No. There's no other fan base in the country that I would not want to be on the wrong side of, right? And that is our strength. Our strength is the strength of the wolf pack, right? And I know that sounds really corny, but that's the damn truth. And when we start to change the game from an NIL front, and when we get people's mindset out of, I'm just going to cut a check and I'm going to, whatever. Through Savage Wolves, we are going to make sure that every single fan has some type of experience and relationship that they know that they're making an impact. And when that mindset takes over, it's just going to grow. But I was, even the guy said, he's like, man, that's a really good answer. Our strength is our fan base, right? We don't have the T-Boons, Pickens, even though we have Jim Goodnight, Dr. Goodnight, if you're listening, what's up, man? Like, come on, bro, help us out. Shit. But
yeah.
Anyway, but when you get 70,000 NC State fans, that's a strong force there, buddy. And if everybody kicks in a little bit, man, I'll tell you what, we're going to keep growing like we're growing.
Well, and I want to spend kind of say one more thing about our fan base, and then kind of want to definitely talk a little bit more about Savage Wolves. But the biggest thing, which I say, is that the fact that in football we haven't won a conference or national championship, we have never won a national championship, but the fact we haven't won a conference championship in over 40 years, but yet still every single year sell out our stadium in, the 90, 100 degree heat or the 20 degree wind chill games, that it's still sold out. Or from a basketball side, the fact that PNC can still be one of the loudest and toughest environments to play in all of college basketball, or the fact that Reynolds Coliseum, there's not a stadium that is tougher to play in all of women's basketball than Reynolds Coliseum. Like the fact that we can still do all that, but still have not gotten that, satisfaction, the huge satisfaction of like a national championship from a women's side, or a conference or a national championship from a baseball, men's basketball, football side. Like, that to me, I feel like says it all. That's like, again, you don't choose to be a State fan. You're born into it.
Right.
Like it chooses.
There's no
you.
bandwagon State fan, buddy. I know.
No, why? Yeah, what are you being a bandwagon for? Not to hate on us, but it's just like, listen, we haven't won a football championship in 40 years, but but we're right there though. We are right there.
Yeah,
so,
and I'm again, I don't want to get anybody too excited, but I'm around this stuff every day, and yes, I am very much biased, but I'm also around other programs a lot too. Like that's the NIL community has grown quite a bit, and there's a lot of good relationships with other schools that I've been able to make too. Just as a kind of a checks and balances type thing. Just to make sure that we're watching out for each other. Ex player and transfer portal is wants this, but no, we're good. No thanks. But I will say that, through my travels and being in so many conversations with other schools and other people in the same situation and position that I'm in, we're going to win the ACC next year in football. I'll go ahead and say it. We're going to do it. We're going to do it. We're going. Our home schedule is great. There's Brennan and MJ, the two of those guys behind. Man, I'm telling you. And wait till y'all see this offense. Anaya he brought some cool stuff with him, buddy.
Yeah, no, we're stoked for him for sure, 100%. And got to give a shout out to Ben Finley too. Still the best third string quarterback
ever,
in the country.
Man, ever. I saw Ben yesterday, and he was dressed to the nines. I was at Pro Day yesterday. Took some guys at one Savage Wolves thing, and I saw Ben there. He's dressed to the nines. I said, "What are you doing, man?" He said, "I'm working." And I always enjoy talking to Ben, and he'll be successful no matter where he goes and no matter what he does. We're thankful. One day we're going to look back. We'll be very thankful that he stayed here with us.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, no, again, it's awesome seeing, even a guy like Ben Finley, who, it would have made complete sense for him to transfer even before last season or even season before that, just because, we all can see, and I know that he sees as well, that it's definitely an uphill battle for him to,
But he's fighting it though, man. He's out there competing.
But he's fighting it. He's not quitting. Exactly. Yeah. Love to see the fight because he is very, very talented, but also too, it's just, I really do think that it just is another example again of that. He loves it here. Players
no doubt,
love it here.
A story from last year, and unfortunately I've got to cut after this. I'll leave you with one cool story about Ben Finley from last year that I haven't even told Ben. So please. I was, the Carolina game, when Finley beat Carolina, I was getting these text messages because I was actually in the Bahamas and I was watching the basketball team play in the Battle for Atlantis. And I just don't go over to Carolina. Like I can't sit in that stadium. It makes me feel whatever. But I was getting all these text messages, and Ben had on a Gopher beanie, and I sent a group chat to everybody. I said, packed by a billion, Ben Finley wearing the Gopher beanie. And the night before I left, Cyrus Fagan and Derek Pitts were over here, and we were having dinner and talking about the game. And both Cyrus and Derek both looked at me, and because I was like, man, I'm nervous about this Carolina game, man. God, obviously the season didn't turn out, the way we wanted it to, but man. And he said, buddy, I'm telling you right now, Ben Finley's going to beat Carolina. And I was like, what are you talking about? I believe it, but give me something, here. And Cyrus and Derek were talking about, man, in practice, that dude, he doesn't take not even a millisecond off. He's always dialed in. He's always he's hitting receiver. Ben Finley is going to beat UNC. And when I got that text with him wearing the beanie, I was like, oh my God, this is serendipity. Here we go. And as soon as it was over, man, I just that was a really cool moment. So Ben, I just know that your former competitors were always speaking highly of you.
Shout out to Ben Finley, 100%. Yeah, definitely one of the best football games I've ever seen with my own two eyes, no doubt about it, and may ever see. It was absolutely indescribable how amazing a game it was. But Tom, again, I really do want to say thank you again for your time. Really do appreciate you coming on and giving myself, but also to our viewers and NC State fans kind of some insight in terms of the NIL side, but Savage Wolves, and love to kind of hear that even though it may seem like a competition, that it's not.
No.
And love to hear that and love that clarification. So really do appreciate that. Yep. Just wanted to kind of, instead of me saying it myself, besides, for fans to go check out Savage Wolves at savagewolvesnil.com. What are some other ways that they can find you and Savage Wolves in terms of from the social media side and et cetera?
Yeah. So admittedly, when you go to our website, it's savagewolvesnil.com. Please know that website is not even remotely close to being done. I needed to get our membership link up before the Pro Day event. But our website is going to be badass. Like our website is going to be some of the merchandise that we have. And I mean, so we're #SavageAF. I don't know if anybody saw me wearing my Savage Wolf shirt yesterday, but we got some awesome stuff, interactivity with the players. Again, not to harp on the emotional side of things, but every single player, they sat down and they looked in the camera and all this will be on the website when it's done, but they looked in the camera and, gave a heartfelt thank you to everybody and explained why NIL is important to them and what type of impact it's made for them. Because I think, again, when the fans get to really hear the stories and what their dollars are actually going towards, it will it's pretty overwhelming. But so, our social media handles, Savage Wolves NIL on Twitter and Instagram. Again, I just talked to Coach a little while ago, and he of all people told me that I needed to update my social media because I haven't posted in a while. But I've got a lot of stuff on the docket coming up soon. But I appreciate you guys helping us get the word out as well.
Glad to do it, Tom. And again, from our side, if you don't mind, again, hit that subscribe button. If you enjoyed this conversation, hit that like button and give us a follow as well at Tuffy Talk Now on Twitter and Instagram, as you're going to give Savage Wolves that follow as well. But thank you all so much again for tuning in. We will see you all soon. And as always, go Pack, y'all.
Go Pack.